Hello, we are live again. Week 11 has just ended, and this is Let's Talk Football with Sha'Niece and Friends. I'm Sha'Niece, and this is not just my friend right here. This is my best friend of over 19 years.
Over 19 years, yes.
Yes, and there's a contractual obligation to be my friend that you have to endure all of my endeavors that I have. And Ahmed has appeased me all the way. So I'm happy to have you on here. Ahmed, this is your first time on the show. So tell
Yeah.
folks who you are.
Hello, everybody. My name is Ahmed Fino. I'm actually a back student right now at NCCU as well. I actually am a planner, GIS specialist, right now, community engagement analyst. Actually, by the end of this month, probably a drone pilot. I just want to get my certification where I, get my license. So,
I need sound effects.
yeah, trying to best level up and everything, and going into last quarter of the year and into on to 2024.
That's why I'm
Carolina,
giving you grace because
yes,
you are finishing up school, and so I have to give grace, being that you're a student for real.
yeah,
But look,
yeah.
tell everybody you are a Panthers fan. You gotta let folks know why are you or
Oh,
tell us about your Panther fandom.
okay. Growing up in Maryland, there are baby pictures of me. I do admit somewhere in the house of me in a Washington in burgundy and gold, but they're
Okay.
probably all gone. But I have been a Panther fan since 1995, 96 ish. I remember my family as well. They remember the only player they remember on the team was Tim Bianca Batunka from Penn State,
Oh my
running
God.
back. And I know, old school. Yeah, exactly. And I remember growing up when I was excited about Reggie White on that last season as a Carolina Panther.
Okay.
God rest his soul, Kevin Green. Uh, and just the craziness of what we had as George Seifert going through John Fox, dealing with Deion Capers, and even Ron Rivera, just the head coaches and even the ownership of Jerry Richter, Mister Jerry Richardson, Mr. Gene Friday.
Okay.
Yeah, being a Panther fan, it's in the past 10 years has been a very unhealthy relationship, uh, almost therapeutic. I don't want to say domestic violence because I don't want to play with that word. That's a sensitive word. But let's say it has not been helpful at all being a Panthers fan as well. You'll see teams in your division as well. Granted, we have gone to the Super Bowl
Yes, you
twice
have.
in
I
our
mean,
existence.
you guys also went
Hall of
with
Famers.
Cam, where that was that was probably, I think, when I think about, just Super Bowl, and I feel like not modern era, right? Like Super Bowls that like you remember. I feel like that Broncos Carolina Super Bowl, like I feel like the entire, unless you were a Carolina or Broncos fan, like most of us were like, either can win. It was such a great story. Like Cam Newton, just this freak of a football player. Like we never have really seen a running quarterback that big. I mean, he was the biggest thing on your offense, and he was just good. And then you had Peyton Manning kind of at the end of his career, that last game. I mean, there aren't a lot of quarterbacks that go out on top like that. Most are going to be greedy and like, no, I want to run it back. Look at Tom Brady and stuff, right? Like he won the Super Bowl and went out. So it was like there were so many great storylines with that one, but that was probably one of my favorite Super Bowls to watch.
Yeah, and the script. I won't say the script was real because I give the Denver Broncos that was one of the best defensive playoff runs in NFL history. Because honestly, as a Panther fan, we're expecting to see the Patriots, but
Mm.
that defense, honestly, before the Super Bowl, he sacked they sacked Tom Brady 6 times, 2 turnovers,
Yeah.
and Molly. They went through. They looked really good throughout history of the playoffs, honestly, historically. And yes,
First off, Savvy
that
was
was a
in the
cat by
comments
Jerry
talking about
Patrick.
some Von Miller's defense. Yes, Savvy, you're supposed to be driving home and getting online, sir. Focus, focus.
Yeah. Hey, drive safely. That's all. Drive
Right, you're
safely.
supposed to be focused.
Yeah. So even the jersey I'm wearing was from Musa Muhammad, one of the most unappreciated wide receivers in Panthers history. He's been honored the Ring of Honor this season.
Okay.
Still has a Super Bowl record for longest touchdown reception in Super Bowl era history. I think over 80 yards. One of the greatest blocking tight ends. His son is at Texas A&M, and he's going to draft a late round pick. So if it works
Oh,
out, I'm all for it because we need receivers that can get open and get separation and have hands. to
Y'all,
run better
y'all
routes.
gotta give Bryce something. My God, you guys gotta give that kid something. But
Yes.
look, we'll jump right into it. Normally we start with NFC stuff, but we're gonna go. We were in a little off script last week, and it's my show. I'll do whatever the hell I want. So we'll go off script today. Your Carolina Panthers. So, I guess the history of our friendship on the football side, right? Like we could talk.
Mm.
If you want to know our history on the dating side, you can listen to Dating Over 30 Sucks, my other podcast. And but on the football side of things, we both been a part of teams that give us some great ups and some very bad downs, and we're both cheering for teams that are just not good at all this season with expectations, right? So, we when we first met, we were friends our freshman year, and you were like, I'm a Panthers fan. I was like, okay, that's what's up. I'm a Giants fan. We've gone to a game together, which my Giants came out victorious. And but we've gone to games, separately or whatever, like for our teams, and we've had the ups and downs. This year with the Panthers, which is so crazy, is you guys did a lot to get that first round draft pick. And I remember draft stories. I remember when you guys when we were talking about it, and it was like, yeah, it was between Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, and that was just all the buzz, like, who is Carolina going to pick, which one they moved up, who are they going to get. And I remember draft night, and they had the top guys come out, and I remember you telling me, Sha'Niece, he's small. Bryce Young, he's a small QB, da da da. And I remember he came out in that pink suit, and I was like, oh my God. I was like, I mean, he is small. You're like, I know. And I'm like, no, no, no. He's small. Like he looked like me. Like he looked like what I look like if I go to a Central football game. I'm saying, like he looked like what I would look like if I'm at a Central football game and I'm around a bunch of collegiate athletes at 5'6", 5'7", with my sneakers and stuff on. Like everything about him did not look like an NFL player. Not that he couldn't be a college player or be good in college. He just did not, to me, look like an NFL player. And I remember thinking, like, this can't go well. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like a Kyler Murray thing or a Russell Wilson where they're smaller. Those are thicker. My man looks like body size looks like me. Like we're both getting a size 6 women's. Um, and I remember you being like, I know. And I felt like I was ragging on it, but like it was so glaring. And unfortunately, the way the season has gone and even the outlook for next year, what does that feel like? Like, what is that for Panther Nation? And I have obviously a lot of friends who are Panthers fans because we went to school in North Carolina. So obviously, what is that for you? Like, how does your team look or feel for you right now?
Great question. And looking at Bryce, I can't give him what God's made him. Like he is 5'10", in a hoodie, like sweating everything. And the comp side is always Russell and Drew Brees. Granted, you don't have to be.
And Kyler,
Yeah, Kyler. Yeah, no, but
Kyler's
yeah,
under 6, right?
yeah, Kyler's
I
under
think
six.
so.
But you don't have to be two sport bench presses, but you're able to stay healthy and take a sack. Luckily, we're in an age and league where quarterbacks, even if you sneeze on the quarterback, personal foul, roughing the
Roughing the
passer.
passer. Don't get me started about that,
Yeah,
but we'll talk about that.
yeah. Granted, there have been a few instances in week 9 and 8 where he has missed a call, but he is sneak. I hate to use the word sneak athletic, but he has now realized that to move the chains, you have to run. And we didn't see that
Mm.
Alabama because that was a system Nick Saban didn't run offensively through
Mhm.
their offense. But he can scramble, and that's a good thing. So he's not just being a Matt Ryan, a short of Matt Ryan, to stay in a pocket shotgun. Granted, it goes back to the head coach and the style offense. And unfortunately, as a Panther fan, it's almost like this season has been putting a round peg in a square hole because
Mm.
this coach realized, okay, this is a young man's dimension. I don't want to call him a kid because I still feel like he's 20 something years old, but sometimes the way he pouts He's
He's
tiny.
22.
Yeah,
He's
22. Yeah, he's old enough to buy liquor, but you have to question his ID.
he's
You
old
have to
he's
like,
old enough to buy liquor, but he's not old enough to get a rental car.
yeah, yeah. It doesn't look like it. Honestly, he doesn't look like it. And I'm sure he's a nice young man, and I say that because I'm in my 30s. For him, it's just the weapons around him. And with the system is if he's under center, if he can do bootlegs, can even scramble a little bit, if he's vested. But that's when it comes to offensive line play. This season has been every offseason, it's a worst case scenario with the positive and the negative. The positive we have with a weak division and a weak schedule that
Yeah.
only the next team that we have that has a winning record is at the end of the season is Jacksonville at 6-3. No,
Mm.
six. No,
Seven
seven,
and seven and
seven, seven, 7-3. That's on our schedule. So we were supposed to take advantage of this plus weak division, and unfortunately, the worst case scenario happened. We traded up for assets because the GM thought, hey, he was a point guard. He's like, hey, he doesn't need a number one receiver, even though this is a rookie quarterback recipe. You get him a good running game,
Yes.
offensive line, and a tight end, even in that first draft. In that second year, too, you get him a number one receiver. This has been a recipe that's been going on for the end of time when in the past. You get a rookie quarterback,
Mhm.
get the offensive line, get a good
But
running
give him
game, and
weapons. You
weapons.
gotta give him weapons. You
Got a
have to
weapon.
give him weapons.
And not saying DJ Moore was Randy Moss, but he was a significant person on the offense for it. And that was a long haul because if we went up and drafted him, and I feel that he is him, but he can't, unfortunately, because of the offensive talent that we drafted a receiver, Jonathan Mingo, afterwards, or Terrence Marshall Jr., we had it a few years back. These guys were supposed to step up. Unfortunately,
Mhm.
the other receivers outside of a 33-year-old Adam Thielen is the only person that stays open. I can't expect Adam Thielen, who we brought in to be a wide receiver two, is now wide receiver one. And he's getting 10 targets a game, which is understandable.
Oh,
But
wow.
even if anybody who's a Cowboys fan understand from that pick six that happened last Sunday, it was a bad route by Mingo. Unfortunately, if you're going to drag route right here, do not lead up because the defensive person is going to undercut it, and that's the references after pick
Yeah.
six to the house. And I feel that fortunately the receivers around him stepped up. I feel like Bryce is a good orchestrator. Like, hey, Dinka Dumb, hey, he'll get people open. But that rapport where it's like, hey, this is the guy he's coming in. That was supposed to be him or Mingo. This is supposed to be the guy, and there's no connection. Granted, in Houston, where the rumors was, hey, CJ said, hey, I worked with Tank, I think through the
Tank
senior,
Dell, yeah.
yeah,
Tank
Tank
Dell.
Dealer, yeah, through I think through off-season workouts, or they worked out together, and
Mhm.
he said, and they said, hey, this is this guy, and they put this man to
But
test, and
and
they tra-
and don't
and got
forget
him.
Houston had like 10 picks,
They did.
and they got Dalton Schultz from Dallas, which I thought was a huge mistake on Dallas's part. I don't, and I know it was like, oh, they didn't want to pay him and all that stuff. Okay, cool. But to give Dalton Schultz to a young, very accurate quarterback, but Dalton Schultz also was killing it. I mean, hell, Dalton Schultz was the reason why Dallas even got, through those two games in the playoffs anyway. So and he's, I wouldn't say he's a veteran, but you give him a guaranteed weapon. I think that's what gives CJ Stroud also a little bit of an advantage.
Yeah, and we haven't used the tight end as much. Like we got Hurts from Cincinnati, who was probably the third target for Joe Burrow, and he came up a few in the playoff game. Don't get me wrong, that's a
Yeah.
third target, but I was expecting more offensively through him. Even Tommy Tremble, our other tight end. But we're also playing plays like I remember the Detroit game. We're doing screen passes to the tight end. That's not really athletic. That doesn't really have hands. Why are we getting to the run blocking tight end? So there's a lot of things coaching wise and scheme wise that do not work. And
Mm,
even though Coach Frank Wright is honest, it just doesn't seem like it was a good connection long term with them, honestly. And there are already some issues why he was hired through Panther Nation already this summer, even through whole Steve Wilkes issue
yeah.
when we had interim coach. And there's already history of when it comes to African American interim coaches, how we go above and beyond, and then the coaching hire we are missed out on. But this is malpractice from the franchise, and it goes all the way up to David Tepper.
Mm,
Real quickly for my stats right now as a Panther fan, because I come here with notes, of course. David Tepper bought the team, 2 point something billion cash, straight cash.
We could. I feel like we could put a little something on that.
Yeah, yeah,
Throw
little,
in a
yeah,
little
bought
something on
everything.
that, and buy the
Yeah,
Panthers and make better
exactly.
decisions.
And his net worth is $11 billion. Uh,
I don't know if I got that,
I
but
know, and now his network, being a team owner, is 20 billion right now because as inflation and things that happen. For his record since he's became owner in 2018, the Panthers have been 30-32. So that's a 32 and plus
that's
a
a
40.
barely.
Yeah, yeah,
Well,
and
look, we're gonna bring Seven and Seven. We're finishing up with Ahmed telling us about his Panthers.
How y'all doing?
Hey,
Uh,
hey, how's it going, man?
there's no echo here, is it?
I don't. Can you hear Echo?
Testing, testing. All right,
A
cool.
little bit, a little bit.
I hear a slight echo.
Yeah.
Here, give me a second. Let me fix that.
All right. Go ahead, Ahmed. Keep going. Keep
Yeah,
going.
to wrap it up, right now it really hurts right now because of our GM, Scott Fitterer. When you have a new head coach, you hope to tie in with the GM. That's you hope to pair them so they both be on the same page, what you want, which offense style comes. You cook. We both hold a Lombardi trophy at the end of the season. We both take credit. That's a reasonable explanation.
Yeah.
But since Scott Fitterer was hired January 14, 2021, we have over 30 draft picks as a Panther. Only right now, 5 of them are with the team still, and none have been made a Pro Bowl at all. So
Wait,
there's
y'all
almost,
had 30 draft picks and only 5 are still with the team?
yes, majority of them were picked through the Matt Rule seasons. And unfortunately, that team, you have a college coach, unfortunately. When it comes to scouting, that's not the
Yeah.
best thing. Yeah, he bought his
And
style
y'all
off
fired him like what, mid-season? Like,
mid-season. Yeah, so honestly, only few didn't really hit. The one thing I could say about Marty Herney, our former GM, he'll hit on those first 2 draft picks, that first round, second round, but those late picks are horrible. But the top teams you could tell have great GMs is you can get those late round gems from
yeah.
third, fourth, fifth, and maybe undrafted free agents. If you hit on those and they're average depth players that can get second contracts, you'll win. But a lot of our players even left. So even right now, Hassan Reddick, who is a Philadelphia guy, we should have kept him. Stephon Gilmore, we should have kept him. But we gave money to the wrong pieces, honestly. And we'll see going forward. I honestly, a lot of Panther people were hoping for a bigger blowout on national television to be embarrassed because then stuff would happen. But it was already embarrassing because Jerry Jones honored Jimmy Johnson finally on, going to the Ring of Honor
Yeah.
on the 30th. But he
Or
did it at a
announced it,
house.
yeah.
Yeah, on yes. And that's the second time an owner has done in their house. You have the owner for the Colts come in and dance in our locker rooms. Maybe I don't have the patience for that, but I find that disrespectful. But hey, I don't have $11 billion, so over 20
Look,
billion.
Jerry Jones is pulling at anything in order to get his Cowboys to get him another Super Bowl. But we're gonna get on the Cowboys later. Look, we'll go ahead and jump, and I mean you'll be a part of this discussion. Look, we're gonna talk about the week 11 matchups. We'll talk about the game last night, but we'll start from the bottom because we're gonna start from the bottom. Now we here, baby. Now we here.
Actually, if you look at your list, we are not on the bottom.
I know. We are.
Oh, okay.
That's
Sorry.
why we started from the bottom.
Now,
Can
Savage.
you tell I'm already triggered? I'm just triggered. I've been triggered all week.
I've been upset actually, man, because I actually was hoping for a Sam Howell big game from it, and he didn't turn up. So I actually had him in one of my fantasy leagues, which I personally hate fantasy football. And that one touchdown, 3 pick, I was like, and I trusted the Carolina quarterback, but
He'll give
it
you
hurts.
he'll give you one every couple weeks. He'll give you one.
Yeah. And the sad part about it, I had Trevor Lawrence. I trusted that Tennessee defense, and he almost had 40 points, and he was on the bench.
I wanted y'all to win so bad.
You a lie.
I was like, I need an upset. I need Carolina to give me.
Carolina.
No.
I will be honest. I was like, if Carolina. So here's the thing: I can't put anything past Dallas to like screw up, especially a team they don't take serious. And I honestly thought the same thing. I was like, what if Carolina wins?
Mm-hmm.
Like, just imagine, because remember, like Dallas doesn't have a lot of room to lose a bunch of games now. They really only have about 2 that they can give up because of that Cardinals loss. And so I was like, yo, if Carolina upsets them, this is going to, like, the world is going to explode. It's going to be a whole thing. That's all we were going to be talking about. And I felt in the first half, you guys were holding Dallas was holding on.
Yeah,
And then it seems like they must have, taken off in the second half.
yeah. Right now, I give the credit to our defense coordinator, Evero he actually was a former defense coordinator that for the Denver Broncos. He has turned things around the past 3 weeks, and even with the injuries on defense and the non-presence with Brian Burns, they have been okay. Even I give Jackson, who's corner number 26, he's always injury prone, but he held us down for the past 3 weeks. I was upset because it was 17-3 during halftime, and I was like, okay, let me go plan the rest of my day. But once we scored that second half touchdown in third quarter, I was a little skeptical because third quarter I was expecting Dak. Dak was in for a turnover. Everybody felt that Dak was going to
Yeah,
in for a turnover.
he's
But
gonna give it up.
once that pick six happened on a bad route by a receiver, Jonathan Mingo. If you go back to tape, if you're in the wide receiver, the meeting room, that was just a bad route run, and any DB will undercut it and take it to the house.
Yeah.
And
And he
once it
did.
was, yeah, so 24-10,
But yeah,
and
I mean,
that's how she wrote.
but again, it's Dallas. Like, it would have been nice for Dallas to get upset, like, because we haven't had any really good upsets, as far as football games in the past few weeks. But Dallas did what technically they should have done. But we're gonna talk again about my New York Giants. So the crazy thing is, I expected my Giants to lose. We are extremely banged up. Most of our starters, including our franchise quarterback, is out. Tyrod is not back, and he's not out for the season, but I have no clue when he will come back, being that he got a rib injury. And we have Tommy DeVito, which we've seen the headlines. Yes, he still live at home with his mama. I live at home with my mama. So, like, I'm like, who am I to judge him? But he's a practice squad QB, undrafted. Like, we're not talking about Brock Purdy, who was drafted last. We're talking about somebody completely undrafted, fresh off the street. We got linemen fresh off the couch. Like, we just don't, we're so depleted. And thankfully our defense did have some injuries, but they were able to overcome it and come back in this game. But to me, I was like, well, Washington's gonna win. Like, it was a tough game the first go round. Washington is a better team. Like, they just went head to head with Seattle. They lost 2 of their best defensive players, and they still won a game. So I was like, there was nothing in the cards that said we should have won. I probably should have bet on this game because whoever bet on the Giants probably came out a millionaire. Like, it just was not our game to win. And it was so wild watching the touchdown pass to Saquon. Like you said, that similar to Dallas, we got the last minute pick six on that last drive, which I was very nervous because I'm like, oh God, we couldn't stop them on that drive that allowed them to get down there and score. And now all they need to do is do that again. And they were running over our defense. Our defense was higher. That wasn't our game to win, and we somehow did, but in a sizable fashion. And again, it was probably the most all-around team win I've seen out of the Giants. I would say probably since the Cardinals game. Like, just an all-around team win. So yeah, it was crazy to feel the excitement and the screaming and everything, because that just was not our game to win, and we made it happen. Which I have to give credit to Brian Daboll. I want to start by giving credit to him, because as a coach, and Brian and I were on last week and we talked about it. It is hard when you are coaching guys that are not yours. And anyone who's ever been a coach, it doesn't matter what type of coaching you've done, when you come in and you have to coach a group of people who are not the ones that you chose, that you know how to work with, you're just doing the best you can with what you got. And that's what we saw last year. And to get the injuries we had, and there are 6 starting QBs, big time QBs that are out this year already. our season is supposed to be a bust, which it technically still very much so is. But to come out with that kind of win, I was just like, this is coaching. Because Brian Daboll has shown twice all of last year and even these in just a 3-game sample size, give me the worst that you got and I'm going like give me your lemons with the bruises, irregular, and I'm going to make lemonade. And not that he's getting coach of the year this year. I think that's going to D'Amico Ryans hands down. Brian Daboll, I think, if anything, when it comes to the Giants, I have more faith in him than anybody else on that roster. I have more faith in him and what him and Joe Shane could do. So I'm drinking wine. I'm drinking wine today because I made a bet with another Washington fan that I have to buy him a bottle if we win. And we did. We got the sweep. We got bragging rights for another year. So I'll let it go to the number 3 in the NFC East. 7, your Washington football team.
First off, let me say, I feel like Skip Bayless after a Dallas loss.
No!
You feel what I'm saying? Like, that's really how I feel. And this week, I'm going to get to the game shortly, but this week, I've been thinking about this week in particular for so long because it's a short week. We knew having like the AI algorithm that picked the schedule this year. And as I'm looking at Dallas's schedule and like how good they were last year, I'm like, was this really fair? Right. But that's neither here nor there.
Right, we were in the same position y'all were last year. Like we were doing pretty good. And then it was like, now we got these back-to-back and we played Dallas. I think we played Dallas for Thanksgiving last year.
The only thing I can think of, the only sense. Well, let me start with the game. All right. So the game. I'm baffled. Okay, I'm impressed. Number one, at the fact that every game our players are trying.
Yes.
Right? I've yet to see a game where the Commanders have been like, you know what? It's over, and they phoned it in. Yeah. Right? So that's number one. So I'll start with the positive. But on the flip side of that, there's yet to be a game where we have dominated, right? And that's what frustrates me, right? Because we show that we can move the ball very well, right? We just have trouble converting. Cool, I can get that. When our defense shows up to play, our defense shows up to play, right? How many sacks did we get on
9?
Yeah, 9, right?
Which is what, 2 more than what we gave y'all last time.
Wait. I'm sorry to interrupt. You guys had 9 sacks in a game?
9 sacks, right? And it's an undernote because we lost. Think about this, right? So with Sam Howell's picks, right? The Giants offense was not able to move the ball. All the scores you guys had were flash in the plan plays, right? A lot of it was Saquon. Okay, cool. So credit where credit is due. Right? So what?
Should be. He
right. Saquon in a bag of chips. We know.
He the only, do you realize he's the only like weapon.
He's the only weapon. But the thing that's frustrating, right? The thing that's frustrating is on the defensive side of the ball, right? We basically have the same defense that we had last year on the field, right? The issue is that we never blitz, which is always frustrating, right? It's like, why don't we blitz? It's always that. And in every game that matters it always comes to the last drive. It's never we have a comfortable lead, we can sit back. It's, hey, we need it now. Let's go get it. Sam, go get it, right? And Sam is still young, right? All right, cool.
Yes.
We'll give him, I'm this season I'm giving Sam a learning curve pass on all of this because this is his second year and his second system that he's had to learn. So I'm giving him a pass, right?
Okay.
But that part is frustrating to me, right? Every game. There's no, No sense of urgency, none of that. It's just we'll do what the game gives us, right? Our kicker has to go. I'm sorry. I can't make up any more excuses for him for anything, right? 2 weeks, 2 weeks in a row. You're missing extra points. You're not even missing field goals. You're missing extra points.
Yeah.
Extra
Joey
points.
Slice, that's why we let him go. That's why we
Yeah,
let him go out of Charlotte.
you got to let that go.
Extra points, right? Like, and we have another kicker on the team. I'm trying to figure out, like, because at first all these fourth downs we normally go for, and it's because we don't have faith in our kicker. But then we let our kicker kick and let him get some type of some traction going, and he can't make the kicks that he's supposed to make, the free ones.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, the gaming.
Like that's what gets me. Okay, so.
And were you at the game were you at this?
I was not at the game.
Okay.
I was not at the game. Right. So, but with that said, right, short week with, I don't know if Ron got with his folks and they looked at the schedule and they looked at the standings and they said, all right, it's a short week and we have Dallas on Thursday. Obviously, we have to win this game. But if we drop this game, how bad will it impact our chances to get into the playoffs? Because by miracle, we're still in the hunt.
I was say, you guys are still in the hunt.
We are still in the hunt, right?
Yeah.
We still have to play Dallas.
And y'all are still in the hunt mostly because the NFC South is awful and the NFC North has one team that just got a little bit of revival, but the NFC North is garbage.
Terrible. And we have 1 week rest while all the other teams catch up because everyone else has their buys. Because that's the one thing I noticed. I was like, there's a lot of 4-win teams in the NFC.
Yeah, we have we play New England and then we have our bye after that, which again at this point does not matter. I don't think any of our guys are going to be, I don't think our bye is going to help us get anyone back.
So I think, my prediction is always going to be that we're going to beat Dallas. I'm going to say that. That's always going to be my prediction.
The next segment is going to be, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that next one, but go ahead, keep going.
Yeah, like we're going to beat Dallas. I've gotten the nicest brisket I could find. I'm going to sacrifice that thing to the Lord. I'm going to put it on my grill. I'm going to smoke it for about 10 hours. I'm going to be like, Lord.
You better put that Andre 3000 flute music on. You gotta do all the things.
He's with the scent be pleasing, so that way when we get, so we be the ones eating tofurkey on what was it called? Turducken. My fault. Turducken.
Here's my thing. That's what I thought. I was like, I think if anything, I think Dallas thinks higher of themselves than what they honestly should. I think Philly's going to sweep them, and we'll talk about Philly in a second. But I thought the same thing. I was like, well, Washington will probably split with Dallas, and they're either going to split with Dallas in a way that they're going to bounce back because Washington has been so inconsistent this year, and you have to admit that Washington has been inconsistent. You lose two of your best defensive players, and then you win. You are toe-to-toe with Philly, but then you lose to us in Chicago. And the way the season is gone, you guys will generally lose 2 games and then bounce back and win. And I'm like, they could actually, the reason why I think Washington can bounce back and win is because they're like, bro, we just got embarrassed. We're going to go all out in Dallas. Like, let's spoil their Thanksgiving. And Dallas is going to go into that thinking, well, we're going to roll. And one thing Dallas does is they're going to disappoint you and they're going to lose to the teams that they just shouldn't. And I was like, even in if it's not this game, it's absolutely going to be the last game because Dallas is going to think, well, we're already in the playoffs, so who cares? And I was like, watch Washington goes in and plays spoiler.
While I agree about our inconsistency as a team, I don't think the root cause of that is that we play down to our competition. We play up to our competition and we play down to our competition, right?
Which is inconsistent.
Yeah. Right. So I mean, it like I said, the root is we play whoever's there and we do it. So like we play ball the way Philly plays ball, just a whole lot worse. right? I mean, I feel like that's an accurate description, right? Like we're gonna
get to
fight.
Philly next, but I slightly disagree, honestly.
No, what I'm saying is, right, like literally we are in, like, they're the only game that we've been blown out in this whole season was the Bills.
The Bills, yeah.
Right. And in the first game against you guys, it wasn't a blowout, right? But it was just, we just didn't, our offense just
it was
didn't,
only a score, and
right,
and barely.
That's what I'm saying. So we were still in that game.
Yeah.
We just
you guys are also a team that nobody's afraid to let y'all have the ball last.
Right. And
that can be a problem.
And that's the thing. And that's the thing that's concerning to me, because Eric Bieniemy has the balls.
And y'all fandom been talking about Eric Bieniemy. He's the savior. Y'all been talking all summer.
Please believe. I still have faith in Eric Bieniemy. I'm still on the Eric Bieniemy bandwagon. I
do,
still
do
am.
Do you still have faith in Sam Howell?
I still am. Sam Howell too, right? I'm still like I like that combo, right?
Okay.
First year together. Think about how much he's fast tracking Sam's development, right? And while he's fast tracking Sam's development during a time where running backs are in short supply, saving the legs on the running backs we do have.
But y'all also letting your man Sam also, and you weren't on. I was Rashad was on in place for Washington. Y'all are letting Sam Howell get drugged, and if I'm not mistaken, I think the couple weeks.
Over the past few weeks, how much are you being sacked?
But he's got 51 on the season, Sam.
Okay, but adjustments have been made at this point, right? He's number one.
He got
Number one.
To
the earlier points that you're alluding to about quarterbacks in this game, he can get sacked. But you sneeze on him, you're gonna catch a flag, right? So look. We've made adjustments on the offensive line.
I might be able to run over a pothole and my tire doesn't completely explode and I drive into a tree. That don't mean I want to keep running over damn potholes.
Right. But you can only, but that's a situation of you can only control what you can control, right? They've already made changes to the offensive line. The offensive line has been playing better, right?
You would think Washington,
we've also been running the ball, and we've also been running the ball better, right? We've been running the ball better, having a more balanced offense. Right.
Okay.
This is all these things are correlated. So with Sam, even though Sam has X amount of sacks, like he's hitting record numbers of sacks, I'll give you that. Right. What are his numbers? What are his passing numbers looking like? How is he rated as far as other passers in the league right now? Mind you, we're a pass heavy team. Mind you, we're a pass heavy team. But if you think about the amount of yards he's getting, that's a lot of reps he's getting. Right. Which is fine, right? Okay. So I'm on the EB bandwagon, because if it was me and I'm EB, Sam Howell's going to be the best quarterback in the league right now, right? From a statistical perspective, right?
Okay.
But we're going to have a losing record, so that way when we go into the next season, you can look at everyone else, because literally you can look at everyone else but the offense. Statistically, the offense is actually really good. The ball's been spread around to all of the receiving players and the running backs on our team, right? You can say Terry McLaurin because he is the star receiver, but he's not getting the majority of the yards, right? He'll get his yards. He's going to get his yards, but the ball's being spread.
Yes.
Right? So that's something you definitely have to keep in mind. So if I'm looking from a business perspective, if I'm looking at the Commanders, right?
You're a part of the ownership group. You and Magic, y'all got a parking spot beside each other.
I'm not even Josh Harris. I'm not even Magic Johnson. I'm Joe Gibbs. I'm back there watching.
Joe Gibbs.
Wow. Joe Gibbs is on the ownership team. All right. So I'm watching and I'm saying, okay, cool. We got this, right?
That's actually not a bad look to have on your ownership team, though.
Exactly. Right. Somebody that understands the game. Right. So if I'm sitting back and if I'm Eric Bieniemy and I'm watching the Kansas City Chiefs, right, and the struggles that they're having, I'm saying, okay, cool. Who else wants to come to Washington? So do you mean to tell me if you're looking for a new coaching staff and you're trying to clean slate right?
Which
And you
is
already
absolutely what's gonna. Y'all have to do that
right.
on the
But
offense.
hear me out. Hear me out. If you're gonna do a clean sweep of everyone, right, except for the new pieces that you brought in, because Eric Bieniemy was brought in during the transition. So okay, cool, perfect. We'll keep Eric Bieniemy. Eric, what do you have? Well, why don't I get this Super Bowl winning staff that's already like outgrown where they are, and they can just come over here and we can do the same thing here.
Well, it might be apples and oranges. Are you okay with the offensive line, or are you okay with the running game as well? Because you know how historically you guys have been decent.
I'm not okay. I'm not okay with the running game, but here's the thing: if I wasn't happy with the running game last year, but the running game did what it did, right? I'm a lot happier with the passing game because the games are a lot more funner to watch because
and it's the past league. I mean, think about it. What team right now even has two solid running backs? Most teams, if we want to keep it a buck around the NFL, when you think about the stars on the team, it's only a few of them that are leaning into their run game, and even that is generally, it's the Derrick Henrys, it's the Saquons, but the teams just aren't. You're not right, and you're just not winning off of a hard run game.
You
But
just have to do it right. I mean, that's the thing. You have to do it right. And
but like you said, even running backs, I mean, their expiration date and their tread is so it's such a small window. You have really good ones. I mean, outside of that running back they got in Atlanta. I mean,
John Robinson's a beast, but they're not even running them hard. Like when we play,
they're not, as they shouldn't.
Right. When we played against them, he actually didn't have that much production. He wasn't even in the game the majority of the time. So I mean, I think it really just depends. As I look at our team, I think there are definitely some highlights on offense, some lowlights too as well. Obviously, the offensive line, everyone's going to pick at that. I think that we need another receiver, right? We need a more sizable, stocky receiver, right? Like a solid, like T.O., someone who's going to like manhandle.
Do they make those anymore? Because
you can find them. You definitely can find them.
You got to develop them.
You got to develop them because they have to be almost like former tight ends that to drop weight.
Exactly, right? Exactly. So like
I'm about to say, because I mean, those type of tight ends, those type of receivers we're talking about, right? Like that you guys have had, even the Giants have had with like a Plaxico, Mario Manningham and stuff.
Yeah,
a lot of those guys are tight ends now. And I honestly think that's another thing that both teams, like even for us, we were hoping with Darren Waller, but even with his injury history, it hit again. And it's like I think honestly he's probably done in the league. I think I've seen all I needed to see from Darren Waller. I felt Bellinger was going to give us a little something.
I think Darren Waller can come back. If he comes back healthy, I think he can come back.
He technically was supposed to be back healthy when he got traded to the Giants. Like
this wasn't our year. Like you knew that. This wasn't our year.
We had here's the thing. We have Bellinger, who him and Daniel were really starting to get going, specifically the Titans game from last year, until he had that eye injury, right? And so him and Daniel already had the rapport, and then you brought in Darren Waller. Now we got two tight ends, right? And like that's what for Giants fans we got really excited about, because we're like, shoot, Daniel already has this great rapport with his weapon Bellinger, and now you got Darren Waller on the other side. Like there's so much you can do, and we had this young wide receiver with Jalen Hyatt, who again, if there's anything I'm excited about next year is what Jalen Hyatt can do. I think he's going to get a little bit more weight on him. I think he's going to get more touches. Specifically, we're gonna have to draft a quarterback. So, I hear what you're saying, and I do agree. But one thing about Washington, I just can't count them out. If we're just looking based off of record and what we see on, I'm not even gonna say on paper, what we've seen this season, I'm not counting Washington out. And like you said, you guys are still very much so in the hunt. But look, let's talk the Philly game last night. Did y'all get a chance to watch? Did y'all watch the Philly game?
I watched a little bit of it. I probably watched a little bit of the first half.
I watched the same thing.
What are y'all thoughts on Philly? I'm gonna let y'all. I'll let you go first, and then Sam, what you think about Philly?
I'll go first. Thank you. Philly, just like good teams have found ways to win. It wasn't pretty with the placement. It's a good defense battle early, and people have missed a few plays, but honestly, Philly found ways to win. The pass rush was really good. They took advantage of their one-on-one operations and were able to get to Patrick Mahomes. But again, it's interesting that I put tush push. Jalen Hurts has 35 touchdowns in 4 years, rushing touchdowns in 4 years, and he's tied with Cameron Jarrell Newton with that.
Okay.
And it's irony of it because Cameron's always been a role model for, but I never seen a 6'5" quarterback really use a tush push and everything. But
Well,
it's
that's
a
because
great.
Cam could just do this. And
Yeah,
that was, to me, that was the only difference was Cam didn't have to do a tush push. He could literally
yeah,
just do this, and he was
Nah,
so big over his offensive line that
yeah,
but
that
you
was a
also
guarantee.
yeah.
But you
But
also have to remember Jalen Hurts is like squatting like 500 pounds. So he's even though he's getting a tush push, he doesn't really need the push. Just the push is just insurance.
yeah, well, one thing
That's after 2 yards.
now I would love to see again. I think they did it against Washington, if I believe. They
And
did
we
a
did
play after
against
a
them
fake.
too.
No, they did a fake out of that. Did y'all
We
run a
know
fake out?
They
they
did,
did do the fake out one,
they
but
did do the fake out,
we did the
and
tush
Yeah,
push against them too. We were like, all right, we can do the tush push too. We can tush push.
we could tush it.
yeah.
We could tush it. But no,
No,
y'all did stop it once. Y'all
Yeah.
got once. I think.
no.
I think
Well,
Yeah,
of the
we got a
year. I
fumble.
think.
We got a fumble out of it.
Yeah, I think
Washington.
Washington's the only team that's actually
Well,
gotten one stop of it.
We got a
of course,
fumble. We got a turnover. We got a
Yeah.
fumble.
they're the only team that can because they got 2 Pro Bowl defensive tackles. So you better stop that tush push. But it's just interesting. I predict though they're gonna do a fake in the playoffs. They're gonna do a tush push fake or something like that out of playoffs on 3rd and short, and they're gonna score in the playoffs off that. I know it's far fetched reaching, but I feel that way.
Sav, what are you thinking about? To be honest, the top team in the NFL.
I mean, when I think of the Eagles, right? I mean, I think kind of what I was saying before, right? Like they're a very scrappy team, right? They're a team that knows they're not as good as they were last year, and they have to fight. And the thing that I can appreciate about them is their coach is like very emotional about the game and into it. So you can tell like every game means something, right?
Mhm.
And like that's just the thing, right? So as far as the weapons, they have the weapons, right? They have all of the pieces, right? It's just a matter of can they get them? Can they get the mismatches they're looking for to go ahead and take advantage? And that's essentially what they've been doing this whole time.
Yeah, to me, Philly, it's really simple. They find a way to win, and I think people are like you said, they know they're not going to be as good as last year. I don't think any team is going to be consistently as good year to year.
San Francisco.
Well, yeah, San Francisco. Yeah, but they also got. But San Francisco, I think their mentality also is as long as we can stay healthy. Like they're very fingers crossed. I mean, they went through 3 QBs last year, right? And still didn't make it past the NFC Championship. So I think the difference with Philly, and what I find very odd are when you see on social media the Dallas folks who are like, well, we're so better than Philly. We had a better statistical game. Statistical games don't mean shit at the end of the day. What a win is a win. It's when the clock is at 0-0 at the end of the 4th and one team has more points than the other. And what Philly to me has shown me through the Kansas City game and the Dallas game, specifically those two, which are big games, is that because they can win by any means, the question is who the hell can beat them? Who can beat them? You can say, well, Dallas had a better statistical game and Dak had his best game against Philly, had this really good game and he lost. To me, I'm like, that doesn't show me anything other than the fact that Dallas, we see their ceiling. The Philly game is their ceiling. And if they have their best game and still lose to Philly, what is crazy is Philly goes into the end of these games and they're like, Jalen Hurts looks defeated. If you didn't know that, if you be real, I watched his press conference, and if you didn't know the score of the game, you would have thought they lost.
Mm-hmm.
He looks defeated. He looked defeated. He looked like he lost. Even some of the guys at the end of the game was like, bro, y'all just beat Kansas City. Again, the AFC #1 seed. Like, y'all just beat them. Like, I wasn't buying into the whole Super Bowl matchup, which I don't even think that's what the Super Bowl is going to be this year. If anything, it'll probably be Philly or San Francisco. I don't think Kansas City's going to make it this year. But Philly, my thing is, if Philly plays this good and they think they play bad, what happens when they actually start playing good?
Yeah, and I was gonna say, I was like, that's the thing, right? Because you can have the best game in the world and feel like you played terribly, right? And be very critical about your play. And the thing that we know about Jalen Hurts since he's been in the league, he's been very critical about his performance, his play, how he's perceived, and all that. And now, especially after he got that money, he's looking at like, all right, cool. Am I doing everything I need to do, right?
Right.
So him with his knee injury, right? He's like, hey, I'm wounded. I need to make sure I can do it. But it's just a matter of confidence and belief and all that. And I'm pretty sure he has that, but still being disappointed. Like I feel like that's reason as a competitor, that's reasonable. And that's something I wish that like the Commanders had, like, all right, cool. Hey, we played a terrible game. We played a terrible game. We didn't do everything we need to do. It's always like, oh, well, Ron Rivera, we need to do this and all right. I don't want to hear that.
Yeah, that's Ron Rivera for you.
Right.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry. I mean, we were talking about the Eagles. I found a way to segue back. But anyway.
Both of y'all been doing that, but that's fine. I'm gonna let it slide.
But I think honestly, I think obviously the Eagles are the favorite, right? It's really theirs to lose, to be honest with you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right now, I'll add quickly. Right now, like the NFL, because there's 17 games, is all about nutrition. Who can really last to the end of the season healthy and get to the playoffs? And right now, like I said, the Eagles have still a part of that gauntlet stretch right now for next 4 weeks until they play the Giants again. They're playing another playoff teams: Bills, 49ers, Cowboys, and Seahawks, all in that order. And we'll see where it goes.
Sorry, we're not doing that yet. I didn't know. I didn't think it was going to come up on the screen yet. Sorry. We're going to talk playoffs yet, but go ahead. Sorry.
No, but they're going through that part of the season until I think week 15 of that stretch of potential playoff teams.
Yeah, but here's my thing. They're going through a gauntlet, but if you look at, because they're not the only team that's got a tough stretch, right? To me, my thing is you're going through a gauntlet, but the hardest hurdle you just got over. Like the hardest hurdle in this last little stretch was Kansas City because, again, they were number one in the AFC. You got San Francisco next. That's number 2. In the NFC, you got Buffalo, which no. I think they got Miami, right? Sorry.
No, which team? You mean Philly?
I think Philly has Miami.
They got Miami.
They got Miami, and I don't think they've played Buffalo yet, so they should have Miami and Buffalo. So they do have a tough stretch, but the toughest part technically was yesterday.
But I don't know. I feel like December 3rd, they have Philly, they have the 49ers at home. That counts. So that might be potential, when it comes to factors, potential, factors going into the playoff, standings and everything. Who has the tiebreaker? So I think between the 49ers and maybe San Francisco or the Cowboys again, that might be a tiebreaker that we need.
Philly has Buffalo, San Francisco,
Cowboys.
It's honest. The last 3 that's going to be tough for them is Buffalo, San Francisco, and Dallas. And to keep it above.
Look.
I don't know Buffalo. I don't know about Buffalo.
The Cardinals might be able to sneak one. I'm not going to hold you.
I don't know about Buffalo. Be honest. Can I be honest? This is not a take and everything, but when it comes to Josh Allen is you remember that year James Winston had 30 touchdowns and 30 interceptions?
Oh,
that's pretty much.
But Buffalo's coming to them, though. But Buffalo's coming to them, which to me is not going to be a huge difference for, like, if Philly was going to Buffalo, it still wouldn't be a huge difference because they both play outdoors. They both play in cold weather. I don't know. Here again, in my mind, if I'm looking at Philly's schedule right now, they got Buffalo next, San Francisco, Dallas. The rest is going to be Seattle Giants, Arizona Giants. The last 3 games should be a cakewalk for them, right? Their biggest gauntlet was Monday against Kansas City. Buffalo is similar to Washington. They're up and down. You don't know. You really don't know what you're gonna get with when it comes to with Buffalo. They just had a big win, but that was a big win against the Jets. That's a divisional opponent, and everyone's gonna play a little tougher against their divisional rival. So I don't know. I think if anything, I'm gonna tell you this. If Philly goes to Dallas with 2 wins against Buffalo and San Francisco, whether Dallas wins or not, it doesn't even matter. It legit will not matter. That's how good and how far ahead Philly is. Think about it. Philly is 9-1 right now. They're 9-1, and they're literally only a game. They're what, 2 games ahead of everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
Philly can literally lose 3 and Philly could lose 2, maybe even 3 games and still be number 1 in the NFC. Let's just keep it a buck.
But that's what I'm saying. The Cardinals might end up getting one because they're probably gonna rest players.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
No, you're right.
Yeah,
I mean, because like I said, think about it. If Philly literally goes 0 for 4 over these next 4 games, that means if they beat Buffalo, San Francisco, Dallas, and Seattle, what reason would you have to play anyone, at least not the whole game, against the Giants, Arizona, and the Giants again? You would have no reason to play.
Well, the only reason why
not everybody, not the whole game.
Well, the division, when it comes to, we know about that when it comes to these divisional records, when they're so backloaded, you want to at least win so you can win a playoff, but you want to make sure that seeding is correct.
But again, Philly would still be, if they beat Dallas again, that means they would have swept damn near all of the NFC East. And again, even with their, like I said, I'm not saying Philly's gonna rest the last 3 weeks. No, we know Nick Sirianni, they're going to play all the way out. But they don't have to play as hard. You know what I'm saying? Like, barring injury, right? We always know that's the one outlier. I don't know. I think Philly's biggest gauntlet just happened. And again, I'm not sleeping on San Francisco. That's more of a standings type of thing. So they definitely want to still play up to San Francisco.
I mean, they might take them. Look, Philly might do what they did last year to San Francisco and take them out of contention again. That's a possibility.
Absolutely. I think if anybody's gauntlet that's going to be hard, is going to be Dallas's. I don't think Philly's is as much, because Dallas had all their easy wins. Philly literally has 4 real quick, and then they're like, okay, last 3, we should be able to go right on through this, in my personal opinion. But before we do that, now I can go ahead and bring this up, which is, we're going to talk a little bit of playoff standings. Now, this is the standings as of now. Like, if the playoffs were to start.
I'm sorry, playoffs. What's that?
This is what the playoff standings will be if it started today.
It's been so long. As a Panther fan, I don't know what that is.
Oh,
playoffs.
Playoffs. Here we are. These are the playoff standings as of today. If the playoffs were to start, I think we're now at a point with week 11. You know what your team is. We know who we are, and we'll talk a little bit about it before we go into the last segment, which is our upcoming games. When you look at the playoff standings right now, what we have on the screen, what teams are you loving? And this, I named this part, who do you love? Are you for sure? The playoff picture. Of these teams, who are we loving? And we could stick NFC. We could say with the NFC, but what teams do you think pretty much this could be the standings? There's not going to be much room. Which teams are you feeling? Which ones are you not?
So we start with NFC.
I'll start with you. Yeah, we'll start with the NFC. I'll start with you, Saf.
So NFC teams I'm feeling. I would say obviously the Eagles. We've talked about them. The Lions, yeah. The 49ers, yeah. The Cowboys, yeah. I think I'm tied between the Seahawks and the Vikings.
Yeah. Now, the Seahawks, here's the thing. The Lions are probably going to Lion. Like, they're going to be where they are. I don't think we're going to lose out on I don't think the Lions are going to get worse. If not the Seahawks, then who out of the West? Or who behind them? I'm going to make this bigger. Did I make it too big? I made it too big. I went too far.
So if not the Seahawks?
Yeah. Like if not this, because like you said, we have. Hold on, does it show who's in contention? Let's see. Hold on,
Yeah,
hold on.
I'm looking here on the.
Okay. Oh, I think they mixed it in. Hold on, wait. No, NFC.
No. Yeah,
Done.
click on
Here we go.
After
So
that's
here's the list. So here's who we would have. If you're saying not Seahawks, not Minnesota, here's who we got.
Please stop. Please stop.
Here's who we got. Who you got?
All right.
If not them, then whom?
So I mean, it would have to be a miracle for us to honestly. I'm not, but I can see Green Bay bumping up, right?
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I can see them if they're there. It depends, right? Like, if you're playing a numbers game and all these teams are on the bubble, like literally, the bubble
really is Green Bay, LA, and you guys.
Yeah. So like, if that's the case and we're going up, it just depends because like it's we have the bye week coming up, so it depends on what happens there. I mean, I don't know, man. I can see Tampa Bay making a run.
Really?
Baker Mayfield on the playoffs.
I can see Baker making a run. I can see that happening.
Well, I would say, nope. You're in the NFC, literally
basement.
Because right, because if you think of it this way, right, they have to the Saints, right? They have to get the Saints. That's who they have to get, is the Saints, the Bucks.
Yeah,
you know what? I'll let you give input of your division.
When it comes to that division, I don't trust anybody because there have been so many injuries, so many things going on where just mediocre play. And 1 minute against bad teams, the team looks good and some don't. But as a Panther fan, it will be just like the Panther season to have Baker Mayfield sneak into the playoffs.
None of us are a Panther fan.
Yes, I'm a Panther fan, dear. It's hard. It's hard being a Panther fan. I know. But I could see Tampa sneak in a little bit. The only reason I just don't trust Love yet because of the skill positions going in, but I have a strong feel with Green Bay and the NFC North. The teams that I love, honestly, I trust probably because of the coaching and the coaching style. I still feel like Detroit will be the solid pick.
Yeah.
And I also like Josh Dobbs because of the culture he's bringing in, energizing the offense with the Kurt injured, though. I feel like Minneapolis will keep that 7 position. And with Geno, I feel like the Seahawks have still a good advantage at home to really pull it off, even with the offense sputtering. Geno's not really playing spectacular compared to last season. I feel like they're doing well. If you can go up to the top a little bit for the NFC.
Sure. I will say this. I'm looking at Tampa's schedule. They have Indianapolis, Carolina, Atlanta. So they still obviously they still have a lot of divisional games. They got Indianapolis, Carolina, Atlanta, Green Bay, Jacksonville, New Orleans, and Carolina again. So the only team they're going to be going up against Tampa that has a winning record is Jacksonville.
Yeah, literally us and Tampa have a mirror image, and that's why it hurts so much as a Panthers fan because there are options. We could have had at least 3 or 4 wins possibly if we would have got our poo together. I can't say it because there's a youngster there, but I really feel that with the AFC South, with our schedule, the strength of schedule that we have, there's opportunities anybody can show up except us, and it sucks. That's that way.
Yeah,
but, but I still trust Philly. I still trust Detroit. I don't see a change. With San Francisco, I feel like they're still injury prone. That they're going to have a great game, but I worry they're going to go to the playoffs banged up and unhealthy.
But my thing is, Dallas is the same way. Like, think about it. Dallas gets one injury. There's been reports CeeDee Lamb has an ankle something. Dallas, because they also had such an early bye, they've already had their bye. Dallas can't lose anyone. And they damn sure, like, Dallas can't lose Pollard, and they damn sure can't lose CeeDee Lamb. If Dallas were to lose, if CeeDee goes out there, especially against Washington, knowing that he's injured, knowing that Washington is going to play hard and go play smack, if that defense gets at CeeDee and he's injured, we're having a totally different conversation next week, because I personally don't think Dallas isn't San Francisco where, if even though Deebo Samuels is out and they sputtered, right? They had a few losses, which again, they had 3. It's and one of them I don't really even count because Brock Purdy got them down the field to get a field goal. The field goal just didn't happen. So, San Francisco really didn't have they weren't at full power with Deebo Samuels out. But I still think if they lose one of those elements, I still feel there's more than enough weapons in San Francisco that they can still make a pretty solid run. Whereas when it comes to Dallas, I think if they were to lose one of their stars, specifically a CD or a Tony Pollard, that it is absolutely a wrap for them. And not in the sense of like they're not going to win or they're not going to make the playoffs, but that is Dak's only real gimme weapon.
I hate to say it too.
Slicing my brisket now. Let me start slicing brisket now so I can smoke
Please.
And it's not even a hate of the Dallas Cowboys. It's just history has shown us for over 20 years you cannot trust them in the playoffs.
I won't. I refuse.
Yeah.
Last year was it was their best run, right?
Yeah. No. Be serious. Between all 3 of us, the last time the Cowboys went to the NFC Championship game, we were in elementary school for all 3 of us. So you can't trust them. I'm sorry, you can't trust them. And and honestly, real quick, I know it sounds crazy, but I think Jerry Jones knows this, and he's trying to remove that curse. Like I told everybody, if you don't do right by Jimmy Johnson, they're not going to do anything, and they're trying to remove that curse. And they're gonna, so.
But the other curse that Dallas has to go up against is Jerry Jones. Like, where your owner and GM are sitting here not making moves at the trade deadline, sticking with the same old, assuming you're going to get something different. I mean, it's just absolutely foolish. Because the teams that you have to go up against to get to the Super Bowl, those teams did something to improve. And again, in my mind, I think we have not seen Philly's best game. And if we haven't and they're 9-1, imagine what happens when they do start rolling. Like, imagine if Philly pulls away. What if Philly blows out Buffalo? Everyone should be scared. Everyone in the NFC, Dallas, Detroit.
I don't know.
No, not that game.
If they blow out Buffalo, you think that everyone shouldn't be on notice?
No, because Buffalo, it has a tendency of doing that. If that was a different team, yes. But Buffalo is so wishy-washy. 1 week, Josh Allen will have 3 touchdowns, 0 picks, and look great. Next week, he'll look like 2015 Jameis Winston with 30 touchdowns, 30 picks. He's turnover prone.
Here's the only difference I think with Buffalo right now is Buffalo just got that extra mushroom in Mario Kart. They just got one little extra mushroom of life, which is Joe Burrow's out of the picture. Joe Burrow going down and out for this season. Let's be honest, because again, look, we're looking at the AFC, right? Yeah. Think about the AFC, and we know the AFC is significantly tougher. You got Cleveland at the number 5 spot at 7-3, right? So we can't count Cleveland out. Everybody's trying to count Cleveland out. I refuse to do it. They are 7-3. Look at these. Look at these
7-3, but you have a Deshaun. You have a Deshaun.
But they haven't been winning with Deshaun. He barely hasn't played.
I mean, but that was last year too, though, right? And how far is that realistically going to take you to the playoffs?
I'm not saying it's going to take you to the Super Bowl, but what I am saying is if there are teams that might play spoiler, damn it, it's going to be Cleveland, and Cleveland's defense again beat up on San Francisco after San Francisco blew out Dallas. All I'm trying to say is Buffalo is playing to get their playoff spot. They are on the outside looking in. I'm not sleeping on Buffalo. And again, I think Buffalo is a tough team. I think Buffalo just saw that Joe Burrow went out. And so now they're like, hey, we still have a chance. We are still very much so alive. I'm not sleeping on Buffalo potentially. Like I said, I think it's going to be a really good game between them and Philly, especially with Philly having a little bit more time to rest. I don't know. I think if Philly sizably beats Buffalo, then I think everyone else in the league, they're obviously going to be hands down the best team in the league. But I'm not sleeping on Buffalo because Buffalo is trying to stay. Buffalo's trying to get up here somewhere.
Yeah. No.
I
got something real quick with Cleveland. I'm sorry, with Deshaun being out for the season, I think with a shoulder. I agree with you, both of you guys. Cleveland has a defense to run the table. They have a good deep playoff defense right now. And honestly, you could say Myles Garrett is the MVP right now because he's consistently being that pass up and holding that defense down, and he's drawing turnovers. But we have to deal with the purple bird in the room. Can this purple bird stay healthy? And can we trust them? Because this team actually is supposed to be 10-1 right now. This team
I don't trust Baltimore.
Yeah, Baltimore's supposed to be 10-1 and potentially 11-0 because
this is the time of year when, Baltimore is an outdoor team, just like Baltimore and Washington are outdoor teams. We know Lamar's injury history, we know Odell's injury history. But I think Baltimore is going to be a playoff team. They always are a playoff team with or without Lamar. I don't think they're going to have the run that they want. And I do think Buffalo's window for having that run is definitely is running out. But if anything, again, Cleveland, and we got to say it, CJ Stroud is playing lights out. My man had 3 picks and still beat Joseph Burrow. Houston is a team that might play spoiler as well. I don't believe in Pittsburgh. I think Pittsburgh is fool's gold. I don't think Pittsburgh.
I trust the coach.
Do you want to know who? Do you want to know? I have a bet that I might even put money on.
Oh my God! What do you got?
You ready?
Who we got?
Watch the Broncos.
Oh God!
Peep this, right?
Let's
ride.
We don't need a Sierra's going to pray something good.
Let's ride.
No, but peep this. Like really think about this, right?
I forgot. Ahmed doesn't like the Broncos.
Yeah, so really peep this, right? So all right, you have the Steelers who are sneaking in. They're sneaking in. They're in there by the hair of their chinny chin chins right now, but they play the Browns this week, right?
Bro, come on. Pittsburgh is going to be right. Okay.
Right. So you have the Jets and the Bills divisional game. Like these are divisional games coming up here, right? Mm-hmm. And the Broncos play the Vikings this week, right? This is gonna be a test for them. And
the Broncos just beat the Vikings, yes.
Okay. Anyway, but look. All right, that's the matchup, right? So anyway, so look, I looked at their schedule. Their schedule isn't the easiest schedule, but they can sneak out a few more wins. They've already Sean Payton's made the adjustments, right?
Yeah.
Russell Wilson is not turning over the ball, right? He's not turning over the ball. He has
a competent coach and play caller also.
Right. Competent coach and play caller. So he's doing he's doing his job and they're winning games, right? And he knows how to operate in this time of the year. I'm not saying they're gonna go all the way. I'm gonna pull it up. I'm not saying they're gonna go all the way, but some of these other teams mess up. I can see the Broncos sneaking in.
So here's who the Broncos have left. Who they have next, right? Broncos have Cleveland, like you said. I think they're going to take an L. Cleveland's defense, I think, is just far superior. Mm-hmm. They have Houston, who is on fire, even with that young rookie QB. I think CJ Stroud was highly undervalued, and I don't care what any Carolina fan says, because I saw a few online this week was like, I think we're still fine. Even if we had CJ Stroud, we wouldn't be better.
Okay.
You probably would. But okay, they got Houston. They got the Chargers. Don't believe in the Chargers. They got Detroit. That's going to be a tough game.
That is going to be tough.
And again, and one thing that I was talking to Brian about with his Cowboys, which is you're talking about, it's not necessarily who you're playing and if they're good, it's what they're playing for. These are teams like when you got teams who are playing for playoff positioning, and specifically these AFC teams, I'm not taking them lightly because everybody is now starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. So they got Detroit, they got New England, who's just as bad as us. And then they have the Chargers again in Vegas. So I don't know. I don't think the Broncos schedule is easy, but I don't think it's hard.
It's going
to be hard for them in the AFC.
Divisional games. You got to think these guys beat the Chiefs now.
Okay.
Right. So this a feat that the Eagles have done, and we're praising the Eagles. for the same thing. They've also beaten the Chiefs. Divisional game.
But records don't lie. They beat the Chiefs, yes, but they are also 5-5. They lost to y'all. Like, what are we doing? Dallas math? Like, we're doing math here. Like, the math has to math. I'm not saying.
Hey, but here's the thing: we almost beat Philly too. We literally lost by one play. That's what I'm saying. Like, this is what I'm saying. This is an any given Sunday type of game, right?
Absolutely.
Like,
And again, when you're playing a bunch of Broncos contenders,
no. I'm saying like if they can get in as a wild card, that's what I'm saying, right?
And I don't know.
I don't think if they get to the playoffs, they're going to do anything, right? Oh, no. But they're definitely in a really good position to play spoiler.
So here's the thing. I agree and disagree, but in the flip, I think that if they were to get in the playoffs, you cannot deny a quarterback who has been there, who has that playoff experience. So for me, the Broncos, it is if they can get in the playoffs, then I'm like, hey, you have to respect the fact that Russell Wilson has been to the Super Bowl twice and won once. He has playoff experience. So if they get in, that's when I will worry about them. But getting in, especially in this division, I'm sorry, the AFC is just too stacked and loaded. Even with Joe Burrow out, it's still too stacked and loaded. Yeah. I don't know if they can get through these games, specifically with Houston, who's on fire, Cleveland with such a great defense, in Detroit, that again, they're going to be a playoff team on the NFC side. And so they don't have any room to lose either. So I don't know. I don't know.
Literally, the Bills spot to lose, right? The Colts, they got stuff going on, so they can get through it. Yes.
My students are really losing at the game you tried me on.
Okay. All right, you got to help them make sure they win.
Okay.
Hey, can she help us with the Panthers trying to win too as well?
Hey, look, she's putting her brackets together right now. She's trying to figure out. She's asking like, "Hey, are they Commanders fans? If they're Commanders fans, why are we? If they're not Commanders fans, why are we talking to them?"
We can't even have conversations.
Okay. Right. This is why I had to put you on mute. I said, "Man,
my word on today."
Right. Shiloh, what we say about those haters?
Haters can't stand us. Left hand up. Who are we? The Commanders.
Parenting, terrible.
Let me make a phone call. Hold on. Let me go to the phone call. CBS.
Terrible parenting. Yeah, I don't know. I hear you, Savin. I hear you, but I feel the flip of that, which is not that. I won't say that the Broncos can't make it in. I do just think they're just in such a tough conference. They're in such a tough conference. In looking at this list, I don't know. I don't know if they're gonna make it up. But look,
they can definitely beat the Chargers, right? They got the Chargers again. They can definitely beat the Chargers, right? They'll have trouble with the Browns and the Texans, right?
Yeah, and Detroit,
right? And Detroit, right? But they'll beat the Patriots. They'll probably beat the Chargers again, and they can beat the Raiders.
Okay.
Actually, real quick, guys, the big matchup that might really be is actually next week, because that's going to fixture with Houston and Jacksonville. Houston already has a win over Jacksonville. If Houston goes for a sweep, Jacksonville goes to a wild card, and they will be a good wild card team, and they're going to move.
Because if Houston beats Jacksonville
last year,
yeah. You know what? Here's the thing. If there's any team, look, we talk about, like I said, who you like and who you don't. I put my money on Houston. I think Houston's going to shock the world. Now, I'm not saying they're going all the way or anything like that, but if you can get a rookie QB with a first-year coach in D'Amico Ryans to get into the playoffs, let alone get a playoff win, a wild card win or something, Houston's going to be a team, I think, again, in a very loaded AFC that next year, this time, we're going to be like, who's going to get it, right? Like, nobody's going to have any room for error. And that's what I think when it comes to the AFC. Like, I think on the NFC side, that's what makes it so tough, is because soon the AFC is going to get to a point where, like, they have no room for error. So even when they're playing NFC teams, they're not taking us lightly because they won't have any room. So look, let's go ahead. We are well over time. Let's go ahead and get to next week's game. Ahmed, I'm gonna start with you, being that we normally talk NFC games, but you're in the NFC East games, but you're in the NFC South with an F. Who you guys play? Who's Carolina playing?
We have Tennessee, and through
Oh,
Panther
they're not
Nation, right?
good.
Yeah. But Panther Nation right now for the next, we have turned into the get right team. We have turned into no slander anybody. We have turned to Kaba. We have turned into northeastern Western Michigan. We've turned to the homecoming game. We have turned into the team you get right. We're that team that you bring the alumni back in and cut the check. So potentially,
The Ring of Honor team. You play
yeah,
them
Ring
when
of
you
Honor,
got a Ring of Honor game.
yeah. We play Tennessee, but I'm worried potentially it might be a Derrick Henry get right game where all of a sudden we can't stop the run. We've stopped the run really good this year, but all of a sudden Derrick Henry has 150 yards on us, or Will Levis eats those banana and mayonnaise and all of a sudden throws 3 touchdowns, but he's back to earth. I don't know why he did that, but it could be a Panther win, but I do not trust I just don't trust this team right now. And
I'm looking at y'all schedule. I mean, y'all got to get. I think you guys got to get another win. If it does come, I mean, Tennessee or Green Bay could be it.
Yeah, Green Bay, or maybe Tampa at the end of the season, like the not we made Green Bay Christmas Eve, like I said, the Packers on Christmas Eve, or Tampa January 7th. But there's wins on the schedule because it's any given Sunday, but with the bad offensive line play, with honestly Brian Burns playing ghost, with just the receivers not getting open, there's not separation. And even like true NFL people are saying, yo, there's something wrong with the receiving core and just bad play calling where you can't depend on the run game. I really don't see it. We'll be the first team to potentially be 1-16. So
thanks.
Like,
7, y'all play. So Washington plays Dallas on Thanksgiving.
I'm telling you, man. Look, I plan on eating that turducken. I'm not gonna eat it, but I hope they eat the turducken. I'm gonna have this brisket. You know, we're gonna have this turkey. We're gonna have, I'm about to slice it up tonight. Get it ready, man. Look, I'm telling you, we're gonna see. I think it's gonna be a good game.
Yes.
I think the oof.
I think if y'all play the way y'all played Philly, I actually think you could beat. That's why I said if y'all go in this division game the same way y'all went into both Philly games.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think
the difference is I think you guys could actually beat Dallas.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'll be a really good test to see how Sam stacks up against this defense, right? Because he's shown up for all the different defenses he's played. They've been chattering online all season, right? Michael Parsons has been saying he's coming for him all season or whatever. So we'll right. He's like, yeah, wait till we see you. Like you haven't seen me yet, whatever, right? All that.
What does that mean? What is this, like old beef?
No, it's not old beef. It's just Dallas Washington beef. That's it. It's the same beef, just a different day, right? So I mean,
even though I will say y'all let Kayvon just do anything every time we play y'all.
I mean, that's the thing, right? Like it's all about how we already know that we're deficient in that area. It's all in how you scheme against that, right? Well, how do you use those big running backs that we have back there to actually do that and chip? Like not the starters, but the other ones. Like, hey, extra block, boom, chip, and give Sam extra time. That's really what it boils down to. It's not like we don't have the speed. It's not like we don't have the weapons. We have a very, very good core of receivers, right? They just sometimes forget how to catch the ball after the end of the third quarter. So
not as bad as Kansas City, but yes.
Yeah, so we just have to figure that piece out.
Well, look, my Giants play New England, and
you're on mute.
You're on mute. You're muted. Ahmed, you're muted.
My apologies. Is there any way
like in the Zoom classroom? You're muted.
You're muted. I'm sorry. Here, am I on? Okay. Is there any way for Ron Rivera to keep his job?
No.
Man, I'm telling you. Look,
no.
I was ready to lose the job about 2 weeks ago. I can't even hold you, right?
No.
Look,
I don't think there's anything that can even salvage this. He would keep his job. He's got to go.
I think that I as much as I'm calling for it and the rest of the city is calling for his job, right? I mean, at first it was Jack Del Rio because, obviously OC gone now, the DC, whatever. But at this point, right, I'm like, hey, give Eric Bieniemy the reins. Let him see how he does with it end of the season. Different perspective, different looks, right? And let's see if we can make a run, right? Why not? Because
I'll agree. I heard that today. They was like, look, let Eric Bieniemy do his thing for the next few games. And I was like, yeah, because like they're not keeping Ron Rivera next season, so
they're not.
You gotta let Eric Bieniemy cook.
Now, are you sure you're going to keep Eric Bieniemy, or
I mean, he's kind of, but he's kind of weird. He's kind of in a weird
shopping in Charlotte.
He's kind of right. He's kind of in a weird spot because he can really go wherever, right? Like he can kind of write his own ticket. If he wants to stay, cool, he can stay. I guess if he's the assistant head coach, so if they fire him, he automatically goes up, bumps up or whatever. I really don't know. I don't have an answer. I would love for him to stay. I would love for him to bring in more pieces and build a team. I would like to get a preview, right? Like I'm not.
Yeah, I agree.
I think there was even a article that I saw like today or yesterday where it was like Jay Gruden's even like he's had enough of Ron Rivera, right? Which goes to show how much we're tired of. But I think like I honestly, right? It's Josh Harris. I'm trying to remember on the other teams that he owns when he has let a coach go during the season. It's always been like, all right, fourth quarter. We had a run.
Yeah.
End of the fourth quarter. We've had a run. It was nice while it lasted. All right, buddy.
I mean, I agree. Like I said, today was the first time I kind of heard that idea of like, look, you let Ron go or relinquish, the play calling or whatever, or but let Eric Bieniemy coach. Like you got to get that preview, whether it's that again in that kind of like last 3 to 5 game. And I kind of agree. There's I would be if you guys kept Ron Rivera for another year, despite even if y'all went on a run and kept Ron Rivera, I'm firing y'all all off season, all preseason, because there's no reason from the body of work you've seen from him to keep him. It's time. You have this is a league where the best coaches are generally going to be offensive coaches. You have a young QB that you should be developing with an offensive coach moving forward. Your offense has shown nothing but inconsistency. So it's just time to move on. And again, you got a new ownership group. You have a new spirit, if you will, in the building with the fan base. You can't lose the momentum. Again, especially both of us, Savin and I are Washingtonians, being in this area, even though I'm not a fan. What was it? The first home game sold out. We ain't seen that in FedEx Field in years.
First 3 games were sold out.
Like I haven't seen that. Now I've seen the diehards still holding on, but we haven't seen that specifically that type of fervor here in DC and in forever, in DC, Maryland, and Virginia in forever. So I don't think with this new ownership group and like you said, there's a lot of belief in Eric Bieniemy. There's a lot of belief in Sam Howell. You can't keep Ron. You got to get rid of him and you got to get that momentum going. So I do think the same thing. I don't think he's going to stay by the end of the season. Yeah. So, okay. So my game is Giants against New England. One thing Giants will do is beat New England. So I think if we would have lost to Washington, I would have been like, look, we are literally vying for the number 1 draft pick. We're now, I think in most mock drafts, we're at about a number 5 spot. It is very weird I don't want my Giants to lose, but I'm okay with my Giants losing. And that's a message to Rashad Fox if he's listening. I do not disbelieve my Giants or want my Giants to tank or to lose, but I'm okay if they do, just because, again, I believe in Brian Daboll. I believe in Joe Shane. And they have a young black guy who's the assistant GM. I believe in that group as far as what they're going to do in the offseason. So I want us to get good positioning. I want us to get a QB. We have to get a QB. I was on the Marvin Harris Jr. train, like just get a weapon first and we can get QB second round. But that was when I thought Daniel Jones was going to be a little bit healthier. Now that he's going to be out and it's an Achilles and we don't know when we'll potentially get him back. I mean, hell, it might be mid-season. I want my Giants to beat New England, but I don't need us to do too much winning because I want us to be able to get that draft pick. But yeah, let's go up there and embarrass Bill Belichick the way we have many times in his career.
I mean, y'all beat us. Y'all should be able to beat the New England with no issue.
Yeah.
Look,
Yeah.
I'm not. We out here fighting blind, but it is still. Look, we're in just as bad shape as New England. I mean, because again, we don't even know who's going to be starting for New England. Is it going to be Bailey Zappi, or is it going to be, or are they going to put old boy back in, which I can't even remember his name right now, which
Matt Jones.
Mac Jones. Yeah, like we don't even know who's going to be starting for them. But one thing that the Giants have done consistently against New England is beat them. So even though we're bad, they're better.
I mean, you guys have enough Super Bowls this century, man. You guys can take a couple seasons off. It's okay.
Yeah. Go ahead and just
calm down. No such thing. If Dallas can still hold on to Super Bowls from 30 years ago, they're what 5 or 6 Super Bowls. Then damn it, we need to match them. We got 4. So like I said, I don't think this obviously our year is pretty much done for. We are not in the hunt. We're not like you, Washington, where you're in the hunt or potentially playing spoiler. I do want us to beat New England, but I don't want us to start trying to stack wins down the stretch for what, right? Like we have got to be looking towards the future. So though we should not tank, we damn sure don't need to be trying to win out. Absolutely not.
I mean,
that's the hard part.
I just want to be 500. I don't think that's too much to ask.
And I think that's fine for you guys, because 500 will still put you in good draft position. And there's the weapons that you guys need. You can get that in mid first round. You can get in second and third. Where we are, we don't need to be mid first. We need to be top. Honestly, I would like for us to stay in the top 5. I think once we get in that top 10 range, it gets very dicey, specifically for what we really need, which is our quarterback of the future. Daniel Jones is not that. With his injury, like I said, he's probably not going to be back until mid-season at best. He's not on no Aaron Rodgers ayahuasca trying to get back early. So we need a quarterback.
I'm trying to see where we are.
Go ahead and Caleb Williams and I'm not saying how
was it Caleb Williams, Bo Nix? What's the other one?
Well, Bo Nix is old enough to drink, so Bo Nix is like 37
What's the other? What's the Carolina one?
Drake May.
Drake May. I mean, I haven't been watching those games yet, but we need to do.
Now picks the quarterback from Washington. He's a left-hander, but the young man's really good, and he has a good head on his shoulders as well.
I think it's about which quarterback can fit. I want a quarterback that we need an exceptional out of this world quarterback. And the reason why I say that is because even if you look at the NFC, we're still going to have to compete against the Jalen's. We're still going to have to compete against Dallas. That's going to get double-digit wins every year. And I don't think Dallas is going to be moving. I think even if the Saints beat Dallas in the wild card, they're not moving off of Dak. And so Dak is always going to give you double-digit wins in a season. So we have to compete against that. We got to compete against the stacked San Francisco. We got to compete against Washington, that if they get a better coach, right? If they get an Eric Bieniemy and some weapons, that's not a gimme game for us. It wasn't a gimme game this year. Let's keep it a buck. It wasn't neither of these games are gimme games. So I don't think that the Giants are in a position to whiff on a quarterback moving forward. We really got to get it right, because in our division alone, we have one of the stronger divisions in the NFC. So we can't miss again. Mm-hmm. We're not in the South, right? Like it's not like you guys where it's like, hey, if we got our guy, we can run the tables for a while. We don't have that. We're in a very tough division, and I don't think it's going to get easier next year.
Yeah, all the quarterbacks are relatively young, and even next season, look, a lot of teams in our division are going to look for quarterbacks next season. Right now, we just have to get our quarterback right, but also get our offensive line healthy and receivers. So it's a really good receiver draft coming in. I wish we had a first round cap to trade, even the players that we need to trade. But I think we have to clear out.
Y'all got nothing to trade for.
Yeah, but we really need to potentially clear house, because we need a GM who has focus. We need a head coach who's honestly Frank Wright. He looks like he's out the door. He just looks worn, and we just got to be same page. And we have
Y'all shouldn't have got Frank right in the first place, but we're not gonna go down that road because we'll be here for another 30 minutes. But
I know.
listen,
I already talked about that. You know, when it comes to black head
right.
coaches.
But look, let's go. I'll go ahead and wrap it up here. Look, guys, this was fun. And every time I know I have 7 on, I'm like, we're gonna go overtime because we can go forever. But I really appreciate y'all hanging with me today. If y'all want to show your social media, go ahead and do that now.
Okay, I'll go first. You can follow me and all my urban planning posts when it comes to sustainable development, transportation planning, and urban transit. A Fino, A underscore Fino on Twitter and on TikTok as well. Those are my platforms as well.
Okay, Seth.
You can find me on most socials. I am Sav Joe. Anyone that matters. Yep, and excited.
Well, look, that is week 11 with Let's Talk Football with Sha'Niece and Friends. I'm going to be back here next Tuesday after Turkey Day. For those who don't eat meat like me, after Lasagna Day. And we're going to be right back here talking more football. We're going to be talking Washington, Dallas. We're going to be talking about, and I'm trying to get my Philly, trying to get Darren on for Philly next week. And we're going to be talking about it all. Thank y'all so much for hanging with me. Y'all have a good one. Be blessed. Have fun with your family. Eat. And I'll see y'all next week. Bye.